Hello, everyone. Welcome to the last freeform episode of 2023. So, I thought, it's kind of that week in between the holidays. What is this week really? It's like maybe we're working, we have like one foot in, one foot out. This is always such an interesting week. And I thought, we could just have a little fun, keep it casual, do something different. And I thought that we could do a little bit of like an audio workshop. So I kind of had a different topic planned, and then this idea kind of hit me, and I was like, oh, let's just do something different. So here's what I'm thinking. I have done this particular workshop many times, usually with my in person New Year's Eve retreats. I've done it before on the virtual retreat, like last year's New Year's Eve virtual retreat had something similar ish. Um, but I thought that it'd be fun if I walked you through the workshop that I do to help you craft your soul's mantra or even your soul's sankulpa or intention for the upcoming year, for 2024, or any year that you're listening to this. And I know usually with freeform episodes, it's kind of a little bit more like lecture style, and this will partially be that. And then I think we can go into a little bit more of like an exercise, like I said, kind of like an audio like workshop in a way. And like I said, this is something that I like to do at the New Year's retreat, both in person and virtually. And if this is the kind of thing that you like, if you're a workshop kind of a person, I would really recommend that you check out this year's virtual New Year's Eve retreat. Every time that I do it, my virtual retreats kind of have the same formula, but different content every time. So we always start with like an opening ritual and meditation. This year's theme is celebrate and cultivate. So we start with a meditation to celebrate everything that went well the year behind you. And then we go into a little bit of movement. So we're doing a restorative yoga practice for deep rest, and then into a yoga nidra practice for new beginnings and annual reflection. And then we end with a little mini sound bath at the end of the yoga nidra practice. And then we go into a workshop. And this year's workshop is a vision boarding workshop. So if you're listening to this and you're like, oh my gosh, I really love like learning in this way at these workshops, you will love the vision boarding workshop. It's one of my favorite new like rituals. I've done one on New Year's Eve for the last few years, and like it's so powerful and I love it. So that's the workshop that's in that virtual retreat. And then we end with a meditation that then takes what you did with your vision board and then applies it in a closing meditation to look forward to the year ahead. And then I did include a few bonuses. There's a New Year's Day meditation in there that'll be exclusive to that retreat. There is a 108 sun salutations practice, so a bonus 90-minute practice if you want to do 108 sun salutations, and then exercise, write a letter to yourself exercise if you want to do that. That's kind of a ritual that I do in the in-person retreats as well that I wanted to take to the virtual one. So that's what's going on in this year's retreat. I'll put the information in the show notes if that's speaking to you, but this workshop that we're about to do is the one from last year's retreat, and I just really felt compelled to share it here. Here's what I'm thinking. We are going to talk just a little bit about mantra and sankulpa, talk about, how you do this, basically, why you'd want to do this, all of the nitty gritty around that. Then we'll take a quick break, a quick ad break. No one get mad at me. We're going to take that quick ad break in between kind of talking about mantras, how you find yours, all of that. And then the second half, I want to actually do the exercise with you. And what it is I'll lead you through just like a short guided practice to kind of quiet your mind, to clear everything out. And then we're going to go into some prompts for soul writing, and I'll explain all of this as we go through it. So you'll be able to kind of either pause me and write it down, or you can listen to this whole thing and then do the exercise like on your own later. And then from that soul writing, you'll be able to pull out different words or phrases where then you can craft your mantra or your sankulpa. This is a workshop that I absolutely love. I think it is really fun and special, especially around this time of the year. So I appreciate you going on this little journey and adventure with me of an audio workshop. Um, yeah, so we'll see. Let's have a little fun. Let's do it, shall we? So there is a Mantra 101 episode on this feed. If you really want to dive into mantra, you can do that by listening to that episode, but just kind of a brief overview of the word mantra. So the word itself is a Sanskrit term, which means sacred sound, sacred utterance, or phrase. It kind of depends on which definition or which translation, that's what I'm looking for, that you come up with. But the word is broken down into two parts. So man or manas, meaning mind, and then tra, meaning tool or vehicle. So the word mantra itself means tool or vehicle for the mind, or a vehicle to get you to a higher state of consciousness or awareness. And mantras can be one word, even a sound like om. It can be a phrase, even something longer that sort of looks more like a poem or something like that. And traditionally, mantra is a tool that you can use in your meditation to really help you cultivate something specific. It gives your mind a point of concentration during your meditation, or to bring kind of simplicity and purpose into your practice. So you've heard a lot of mantras when you listen to this podcast. It's a tool I really like to utilize, especially when we're working on something specific, or we have a meditation that is around something very specific, like forgiveness or positivity or something like that. You may hear me end the practice with a few mantras that you can then repeat to really work on cultivating that theme or that idea by using those words and phrases to do that. So sankulpa is a little bit different. Sankulpa means intention. And you will hear me talk about sankulpa the most in yoga nidra practices. So if you've ever practiced yoga nidra with me, you'll hear me say, tell yourself 3 times, here begins the practice of yoga nidra. I'll stay awake and receive whatever I need. And then you'll hear me say, now tell yourself 3 times. And then I'll say some kind of a phrase. It might be something, it always relates back to the topic of the nidra practice, but it could be something like, I am free from anxiety, or I welcome joy into my heart, or something like that. And a yoga nidra practice always has a sankulpa or an intention. So for the purpose of this workshop or this learning and crafting like your personal mantra and or sankulpa, I will let you decide whether you want to call it a mantra or a sankulpa, but think about what we're about to do is like your new year, your soul's year phrase. It's like the phrase, the thing, and you can have more than one. We'll talk about that, but we're just going to start with one for this workshop. You can always repeat it and come up with, as many as you see fit. But think about it as like your soul's like sacred phrase that you're going to need for this upcoming year. Sometimes you will hear that phrase be called a mantra. Sometimes you'll hear that phrase be called a sankulpa. But I did want to clarify the difference between the two, where sankulpa is an intention and a mantra is a sacred word or phrase, used in your meditation as a tool. But you get to decide which one feels right to you. If it feels like an intention or it feels like a sacred phrase, up to you. But we're basically going to craft the statement that you can then use throughout the upcoming year, or really anytime. I like to do this workshop particularly around New Year's Eve and the New Year, because we are looking to the future. But you could, anytime you're listening to this, if you're like, I want to tap into my soul space and come up with like my soul's phrase or word, you can use this at any time. But of course, we're looking at it right now with the backdrop of the new year being just a few days away if you're listening when this is released. And the thing that's really important about this is when it comes to mantra or sankulpa, it's not just about the words, it's about the intention or the meaning behind the words. You could repeat a word or a phrase over and over any time, but that doesn't necessarily make it a mantra or a sankulpa. It's just words. It's just a phrase until you put the meaning behind it and you give it the power and the significance. And when we think about our own particular soul's word or phrase or utterance, it's going to be completely different for everyone. So, the way that this exercise is going to work, like I said, we'll do a short meditation just to kind of quiet the mind and, tune into that soul space. But then you're going to do soul writing. And soul writing is basically like free writing, but you're trying to free write from your soul space. So the idea behind it is, after I give you the questions or the prompts that you can write down, or if you're just a reflection person, you want to sit and quietly contemplate, you can do that as well. But I will say for this particular exercise, writing down is really helpful because you're going to go back and look at what you read and try to pick out like particular things. So sometimes writing really is more useful because you can look back and like look for patterns and things. And the reason we want to connect to our soul space is because we are trying to find our soul's word or phrase or even vibration, if you will. So, when you think about mantra and sound and vibration, each mantra is believed to have its own distinct meaning or its own distinct vibrational frequencies, which is why some will resonate with you and some will not. For example, I like to do this exercise for myself, and one phrase that I guess came up for me a couple years ago was I welcome effortless ease into my life. And some of you may listen to that and think like, wow, that really resonates with me. I like that one. I'm going to save that for my own practice. And some of you may listen to that and be like, oh, okay, that's cool. That's nice. And the idea of connecting to the soul space is that we're trying to find like our soul's unique vibration or word or phrase, the thing that our soul needs to hear, or something that embodies what our soul is trying to cultivate and create for us. And that is why some phrases, some mantras, some sankulpas, some will resonate with you and some won't. It's basically, is it resonating with that soul space? So I have found that the best way to connect with that soul space is through soul writing. So again, it's kind of like automatic writing, but instead of coming from like our brains or our hearts, it's coming from our soul space. And it's important when we're working with this space that we do our best to not judge or edit or steer our soul in any direction. One of my favorite parts about this exercise is really just letting yourself be surprised by what comes up. It's not always what you think. Sometimes there's some themes from your soul writing that you're like, oh, that makes sense, or yeah, that's been on my mind. But there's usually a lot of surprises in there. And, they say quiet the mind and the soul shall speak. And I really do think that that is true when it comes to this type of work, is that we have to really get quiet. We have to tune in. We have to see, what's going to come up, what's going to come forward, and just let yourself be open to whatever comes, and you might be surprised. So the way that this exercise is going to work, we're going to dive into it shortly here, is that we will do our meditation to, get into our space. Before we do that, I'll tell you what the writing prompts will be or the questions so you can go write them down. I will try my best to remember to also put them in the show notes. And then you'll pause me and you'll go do your writing. You can take as much time as you want for that. You can, whatever amount of time feels good to you to do that soul writing. And then you'll come back to me and then I'll walk you through how you look through and find particular themes and then how you craft your phrase or your word from those themes. And then when you've done that, then you will have your particular mantra or sankulpa or phrase, whatever you want to call it, from your soul. You will have yours. And that's basically how it is going to work. And then looking forward with that is that when you have that word or that phrase, you'll then be able to use it in your own meditation practice. You'll be able to repeat it to yourself whenever you need it. And I think this is also such a powerful tool so that you can get clear on what it is that your soul is yearning or cultivating or needing for the upcoming year. And you can repeat this workshop, this exercise, whenever you want. really whenever you want to connect back with that soul space or you want to craft another phrase or a mantra. But I just think it's such a powerful tool, not only the soul writing, because again, there'll be some surprises in there, but also you will kind of create your own personal phrase, which I think is so meaningful. And you can use it at any point that you need it in meditation or, now you can be driving in your car, you can be taking a shower. And I just think there's something so powerful about putting intention behind words and having that intention and those words come directly from your soul space, because sometimes what our mind is trying to create or what we think we want is sometimes different than what is actually coming from our soul. So we'll do that exercise now-ish. I'm going to take that quick little break that I mentioned. Unless you're listening on Patreon, then you won't even know. It's just going to boom right into the workshop. So if you want to, while you're listening to that, you can go grab some paper, a pen. If you have a journal that you like, you can do that. So yeah, go grab any materials that you need while we take this quick break. We'll just be doing a quick meditation. So find a comfortable position. You can bring me with you, pen, paper. And that's it. And then we'll do it. Then we're going to dive into the exercise. All right. So diving into the exercise portion of this audio workshop experiment, we're going to begin with a meditation. And as soon as we're done with the meditation, you'll hear me kind of prompt you to just pause me and then go to your writing. But I want you to take out your piece of paper right now, write these down. These are going to be the questions that you're going to soul write. And remember, soul write is just kind of automatic writing. It's just we're going to let things flow like from our soul, out our hand onto the paper. We're not going to edit. We're not going to question what's happening. We're just going to let words flow. Maybe it makes sense, maybe it doesn't, but that's all part of the exercise. So you're just going to free write, soul write, just let it go. But these are the questions that you will be writing about. Okay, ready? So the first question will be, what do you want to cultivate in your life? So you can write that down maybe at the top of your paper. What do you want to cultivate in your life? So after our meditation, when you go into writing, you'll start with that and you're just going to answer that question from your soul space. Maybe you write a few sentences, maybe you write a few paragraphs. Don't edit yourself, just go for it. Question number 2, what are you ready to release? So that's question 2, what are you ready to release? Question number 3, what truly makes me happy? So question number 3, what truly makes me happy? And then the fourth and final question, what does my soul have to tell me? So fourth and final question, what does my soul have to tell me? So write those down. Quick recap. Recap. What do you want to cultivate in your life? Question number 1. Number 2, what are you ready to release? Number 3, what truly makes me happy? Number 4, what does my soul have to tell me? Write those down. And now set your piece of paper off to the side. After our meditation, which is only going to be maybe 8 to 10 minutes, then you're going to go back to your paper and you're going to just write on all of that. Okay? So set your paper off to the side, create a long spine, close your eyes. We're going to meditate here just to hopefully connect with that soul space. So once you're comfortable, just take a few big, deep, easy breaths. Maybe inhaling through the nose, open mouth, exhale, sigh it out, letting go. You can do that 2 more times. Take a moment just to let go of whatever's happened earlier today. trying our best not to anticipate whatever's coming up and just be here in this moment. Being here in this moment, checking in with how your body's feeling. Noticing what you hear, what you feel, and any other sensory information that's coming in right now, just to anchor yourself in the present moment. Now bring your awareness to the base of your spine. See that spot right at the base of your spine. And here visualize a ball of swirling silver twinkling light. And just feel this powerful ball of silver twinkling light, of energy right at the base of your spine. And now begin to invite that energy up your spine. So watch as that silver sparkling light begins to rise up from that pool of light energy at the base of the spine. Slowly starts moving up. So it moves up the sacrum, up the low back, moving up still to the mid back, and moving up higher still, up the mid back to the upper back, all the way up still until it's going up to the top of the head. Once that light gets all the way up to the very top of the head, see it open up and shine in all directions, almost like a crown of silver sparkling light that's been placed right at the top of your head. And now see a single drop of this silver light move from the top of your head right to the space between the eyebrows. And this drop of silver light illuminating the space between the eyebrows, you feel it open up. And you see this twinkling silver light. It connects you to your intuition, to your soul space. It's a line of communication that's now opened. And just focus on the space between your eyebrows for a few moments. And as you focus on it, feel your body become relaxed. Notice how your mind becomes quiet. Everything becomes still. And then turn your gaze inward even more and connect with your soul space. whatever that looks like to you. Just call forward your soul space, your truest, deepest self. And maybe you look your soul space in the eye, or maybe it has a particular color. Just visualize that soul space. And now ask that soul space to give you a hand with some writing. You can even say, hey, soul, can you help me out here? I have a couple questions for you. Just take a few more moments connecting with this space. Letting your body take the back seat. Everything is relaxed, everything's clear and open, and your soul space is stepping forward. And then when you're ready, just blink the eyes open and pick up the pen. The soul space will pick up the pen, and you're just going to write. Let it all go. Just write, write, write until you feel like you're done writing. So you'll pause me now, do all of your writing. When your writing is completely done, come back and hit play again. Okay, so did you get all of your writing done? You have all of your things, your answers, your papers? Perfect. So what you're going to do now is I want you to look over what you wrote. So kind of just skim it. You don't need to go too in depth, but I want you to pull out the themes, and maybe in like the margins of the paper or on a different piece of paper, you could just circle them or underline them. If there's certain words that come up a lot or certain phrases or themes or ideas, I want you to underline or circle or make a little note of them. This can be, maybe you see the word joy showing up a lot, or maybe you see the word family or peace, or maybe you see a lot of themes of change or needing rest or something like that. We're going to look, so you're going to pause me and look at everything right now that you wrote and just pull out the themes. That's all you're going to do. So pause me. Okay, perfect. Hopefully we did that. And now look at those themes or those words. This is what we're going to work with to actually create our word or our phrase, our mantra, our sankulpa. And remember, mantra and sankulpa, they're related but different, but you can decide whether this feels like a mantra to you, a sacred word or phrase, or if it feels like a intention to you, a sankulpa. It's kind of up to you. If neither feels right, then it can just be your word of the year, whatever you want to call it. So look at those themes. And I want you to pick one. And again, you can always revisit this. And it's going to be hard to not be like, oh, well, there's a lot of really important things here. There's joy, there's rest, there's change, there's, all of this. We're just going to start with one. You can always craft more mantras, sankulpas around the other ones later, but for the purpose of our work together here, we're just going to pick one. So whichever one is jumping out to you, or the one that you feel like you want to start with, and you're like, you know what, as I'm looking forward to the new year, I want to work on joy, or I want to work on change, or I want to work on happiness, whatever it is. You're going to pick one, and don't overthink it, just whatever's sticking out to you. It feels like the one. Perfect. Hopefully we picked it. If not, you don't pause me this time, just pick one. So then we're going to look at that theme or that phrase, that topic, and we're going to work on creating our phrase. So there's a few different things that we can do here. So you absolutely could just use the word, right? And what you will experience a lot in meditation is, let's say your word is joy. I don't know. I have no idea if anyone out there wrote joy a lot, but it's just, I don't know, it keeps popping into my head. So let's say joy is the word that you picked. It could be as simple as like inhale joy and then exhale whatever to you feels like the opposite of joy or the thing that is holding you back from your joy. So maybe it's inhale joy, exhale self doubt, or something like that. If you have a word that you just feel like, you know what, I just want that thing to come into me, when you inhale, you can think that word. And when you exhale, you can think whatever it is that is getting in your way or that's the opposite of that. You absolutely could do that. If that resonates with you, perfect, amazing. Check. There it is. You can work with that. If you want to work on a phrase, let's talk a little bit about how you craft a mantra or one of these positive phrases or intentions. There's a couple of rules, if you will. I don't know. Rules sounds a little harsh. There's some guidelines. So when you're creating a phrase or intention or anything that you're working with, you want it to be positive. So you're always going to give it the positive spin. So for example, again, if we're going back to joy, it could be something like, I am filled with joy. And that would be the positive spin. Like if you're looking at the theme of joy and you're like, I want more joy in my life, I want to have less negativity. Instead of saying, I am not as negative as I usually am every day, right? That kind of has that like more negative connotation versus like every day I begin with joy, right? It has that positive kind of spin. So we're always going to give our phrase the positive spin. It's going to be in the present moment as if we already have this thing. It's not a if then or a when this, then that, or later today I will do this. It's like a statement. You have it, right? Every day I begin with joy. Just a statement. It can be as short or long as you want, but I will say don't overthink it. When I do this in person with people, sometimes we have the tendency to want to like put as much as we possibly can into our phrase, and then before we know it, we have like an entire paragraph. We can't even remember what we're working with. Less is more when it comes to these, and it only has to resonate with you. This is your soul's intention, your soul's mantra, your soul's word or phrase. It only has to resonate with you, so don't overthink it. And you're just going to start crafting some of these statements. Maybe it'll come to you right away. Maybe you'll write a few down or kind of workshop it a little bit before you find one that you're like, oh, you know what? That really resonates with me, because that's what we're going for. We're going for, oh, wow, that is powerful. That resonates with me. And if you're an examples kind of a person like I am, here are a few examples of personal phrases, mantras that I have heard in the past. My potential is unlimited. Every day I choose joy. All that I need is already within me. I am fulfilled and I am fearless. Inhale peace and then exhale negativity. I honor my need for rest. And it doesn't necessarily have to be an I statement or an I am statement. It can be. Often it will be, because that feels really personal and powerful, but it doesn't have to be. So again, I want you to look at the theme or the word that you're working with. You can always go back to the other ones and create words and phrases around that as well. But we're going to start with the one. And if you want, you can pause me again and look at that and just start coming up with some positive, present tense, powerful, meaningful to you words, phrases, or statements. So pause me now, do that, and then when you come back, I'll tell you what to do with it. Okay, hopefully we have some good ones. And if anyone's just like listening through this whole thing, you're like, why does she keep pausing? I figure that if we're doing like a workshop, maybe you're sitting there, I imagine that we're sitting there and it's like kind of vibey and we're in like this relaxed place and you have like your phone and you're listening to me, and then you're writing and then pausing and doing like this little workshop and crafting this like beautiful little thing for yourself. But if that's not the case, maybe this format might seem a little bit silly. And I imagine that too, because, this is like I haven't had like a too much of a tangent yet this episode, so I'm going to give myself this one. But someone left this review the other day, and it was like, I don't know why this one felt so extra special to me and so sweet, because I do read these reviews, so if you leave a beautiful 5-star review, I will see it and it will be so meaningful to me. But someone left a review and the title was Meditating with a Friend. And I don't know why that felt so special to me. And this review is basically just like they felt really comfortable with these meditations and they felt like it was just kind of um, not like stuffy, like sometimes meditation can feel. And that's not bad at all. But I have heard this from other people where they feel like sometimes meditation can be extremely like stuffy or serious or, that it's not something that you can casually do and fit into your lifestyle. And this person just wrote this really nice, beautiful review. So if you are listening, know that I read that review and like I read it weeks ago and it's still sticking with me. So thank you. But I do kind of like that vibe of like we're just kind of hanging out. And this is like if you have or ever do an in-person retreat with me, these workshops and things are such a fun opportunity to just kind of like hang out and be together and like do some soul writing and then talk about it and then look at these themes and craft like these beautiful fun things together. And I think the reason that stuck with me, that one particular review or like why doing this like audio workshop format feels kind of fun is because like I don't know, I never this is not me doing a pity party, but like this kind of stuff was not cool when I was like younger, but I certainly didn't have like friends when I was younger. Now I have a lot of really fun like woo-woo friends. And if I like was like, hey, let's get together and like craft some soul mantras, they'd be like, ugh, I'm all over it. Say less, tell me when, I'll be there. But this was something that like I would have found to be really fun. And I feel like no one really shared my interest, like my passion, like my excitement for it. And I know things are different now. Like, I feel like, why do I sound so old saying this? But I don't know. Maybe there's kids in high school or whatever, where like they're doing something fun like this, and they're sharing an enjoyment for like soul work and mindfulness and all that. I just think that's really cool. But when someone said that, they felt like doing these meditations or like doing this work together felt like they're meditating with a friend. I don't know. That just felt really special and meaningful to me. So if you're listening, thank you for that review. It was really special. But I do love with like these workshops and doing like soul work and things like that is that it really is, I think, really fun. Like I think it's fun to connect with your soul space. I think it's fun to like learn something new, to try something different, to be like, oh, let's just see what my soul has to say today. Like what themes are coming up for the next year. But anyways, that was my one tangent that I've allowed myself. And now we're getting back to the workshop. So with the phrases that you have or the phrase that you have, if you have multiple, look at the ones that you have and go with the one that really sticks out to you, really resonates with you. If it doesn't quite feel right yet, that's okay. You can keep working on it. Maybe it will kind of refine itself as you work with it. But now that you have it, this is how you'll use it in your everyday life and in your meditation practice. So if you're using it to meditate, what you'll do is you can either, listen to any guided meditation and then at the end, maybe you repeat your mantra or your sankulpa to yourself a few times. You can let that word or phrase be your point of concentration. So if it's, inhale joy, exhale self-doubt, you could sit and just really focus and breathe and just over and over, inhale joy, exhale self-doubt. You also can just use this outside of your meditation practice. Maybe you write it down and you put it somewhere that you look at a lot. That's something that like in the vision boarding workshop, I talk a lot about how you want to put your vision board in a place that's kind of a high traffic area. So you always have this little like positive reminder of what you're cultivating and creating and working towards. So you could do that. You could write it down. It could just be, on a Post-it, or you can make it kind of fun and design it however you want. Put it somewhere so that you look at it often. You can maybe repeat it when you're driving in your car. You can write it, somewhere special, however you want to use it. But you can allow this word or phrase or statement to be just this constant positive reminder of what your soul is wanting or needing or working towards. And you can just revisit it over and over. So you can use it in meditation. You can use it in everyday life. You can get as creative as you want with it. And like I said, you can revisit this, the actual exercise itself of like, meditating for a few minutes, kind of connecting to that soul space, calling it forward, doing soul writing, looking for the themes, crafting statements around those themes. You can do that again and again and again. It is really fun to do it around the new year. But if you're listening to this in April and you're like, I want I want a new one, or I want my soul's spring intention, or whatever it is. The technique itself, the method itself will remain the same. You can use it at any point, but using it right now, I think, is such a powerful way to get clear on something that then you can use in your year going forward. So hopefully you had fun with me, had a good time, this little audio workshop. I appreciate you being along for the ride, trying something a little bit different. This was, like I said, this was a topic of last year's virtual New Year's Eve retreat workshop. This year's, which is available until January 5th, I'm going to cut it off on the 5th. It is Celebrate and Cultivate is a theme, and the workshop is a vision boarding workshop. So I teach you how to vision board, how it works, how it's helpful. I have like a template for you if you want to do that, all of that. And then, all the other things I mentioned, meditations, yoga nidra, restorative sound bath, and the bonuses. So all that information is in the show notes, or head over to yogaforyouonline.com, hover over the retreats tab, and you'll see it. And of course, in just a couple of days as I'm recording this, You Are Not Your Thoughts, the meditation and anxiety journal, will be published. I know some of you have already gotten your copies, which is amazing. And I'm just having so much fun seeing everyone get their copies. If you are listening to this now, you can still pre-order if you send me a screenshot of your pre-order. So it'd have to be only through January 1st. I will send you those 5 bonus anxiety meditations. Yeah, you've heard me talk about them, but you can still get that pre-order bonus if you want, or if you're listening later, just pick it up. And then maybe the thing that you're working on for 2024 is living with less anxiety and more freedom, which is exactly why I created that journal. So I hope you guys are well. I will see you for a meditation on New Year's Eve. I'm still deciding what I want that topic to be. I have a few different ideas. I haven't quite decided on one, but I'm going to do something fun and special for a New Year's Eve meditation. And then there will be, starting the 1st again, so doing a whole nother year of community minis. There'll be a 5-minute meditation on New Year's Day. I think it's so fun when Mindful Minutes episodes land on like holidays. I can do fun themed things. But anyways, that is what is coming up. I hope you enjoyed this audio workshop, and just know that I am so grateful for all of you. I've said this a lot lately, but I've really been thinking about it, of just how much I appreciate and honor all of you, and I hope that you are doing well.